So Mike, can you give us a little bit about your bio in golf and how you started working out your swing system?
Sure. I got into golf late in life, in my late 30s. When I was practicing law in Los Angeles, and my father-in-law was a big golfer, played every week, and he said, "You need to play golf. Take your clients out and whatever." And I said, "I'm not much of a golfer, but okay." So I went out and bought clubs and shoes and the whole thing. I had plenty of money because I was a pretty successful attorney, and got a bucket of balls at the driving range, which was just down the road from where I lived in Pasadena, and started hitting balls and dribbling them all over the place. And then I went out and bought all the books I could get and videos that they had available. This was in mid to late 80s. And there wasn't a whole lot of videos or whatever at that time. And got Ben Hogan's book, and I read that cover to cover several times. And in fact, this is it right here. I still have it.
Same one I have.
Yeah, and couldn't hit the ball worth a darn. You know, I couldn't hit it out of my shadow. And I'd been a baseball player as a kid, like most of us, the American kids grow up playing baseball and softball, and so I knew how to swing a baseball bat. And I said, "Oh, it's got to be something close to that. Looks like kind of like the same thing, but it turns out it's really not." And I realized that I was never going to get any better. And just by luck, it was a Sunday in afternoon, and I was out at the driving range. It was Eaton Canyon Golf Course in Pasadena, and this guy standing there was hitting balls right behind me. He was probably 10 years older than me, maybe a little more. Didn't know him from anything. Gray hair, skinny guy. I know he had a bag with his name on it, and he was playing the little tiny blade clubs, and I'd heard those blade clubs, those are not good. So anyway, I'm still dribbling balls out here at Eaton Canyon, and this guy behind me is just killing them, and I'm like, man, is he good? And I stink. And he finally goes, "Hey kid." I go, "What?" He says, "You suck." I said, "Who are you, Sherlock Holmes?" You know, and he starts laughing. He goes, No. So my name's John Schlee. I didn't know him from anything. I saw his name on the bag as well. I don't know who this guy is, but man, he's pretty good. And I know the pros, they have their name on their bag, so he must be a pro of some sort. He says, "You ever heard of a guy named Ben Hogan?" I said, "Oh yeah, I got his book. I've got tapes. You know, you name it, I got whatever. I'm trying to learn this." And he said, "Well, you ever heard of The Secret?" And I said, "Well, yeah." He said, "I was in that Life magazine article." He goes, No, it wasn't any of those books or none of that." He said, "Ben was my teacher." He says, "You're pathetic." He says, "Let me show you something." So it was a pity lesson, I know that. And he was wearing a glove, and he peels his glove down, and he says, "You see those wrinkles right there, kid? Right there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "That's the secret." I'm like, "Okay." Do that? Okay, I'm better now. Okay. How does that work? He says, when you hit the ball, you got to have your hand just like that. That hand's got to be just like that. And don't you tell anybody this. So I'm alive or Ben's alive, or I have to come kill you. And I went, "It's that big a deal?" He says, "It's that big a deal." So he said, "Now try it." And I missed the ball the first try, and he says, "Try it again." I hit it, bang, went dead straight. He said, "Do it again," bang, dead straight. He says, "Just keep doing that." I said, "It can't be that easy." He said, "Why not? Just keep doing that." And so I did. I kept doing that. Of course, 2 weeks later, I quit doing that, and then I spent 20 years dribbling the ball all over the place again. I got so wrapped up in golf, as an attorney, I realized, hey, I could actually be part of golf without being a golfer. I could be an agent, because I know all the contract business, I know all that kind of stuff. So I started going out and talking to tour players, and I picked up Bruce Crampton as one of my clients. He's an Australian Hall of Fame golfer, won the Australian Open when he was like 19, beat Peter Thompson in his prime. He's a pretty good golfer. So as a result, I got all these kind of things to get you into tournaments or whatever, the little badges. And
you have to be sponsored by a tour player to get one.
Right, you have to be registered as their representative to get that. And that gets you into the Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA, whatever.
It gets you into the driving range.
Gets you in the driving range, locker room,
Yeah.
press stents, whatever. And it gave me the opportunity to be up close and personal with a lot of people. And I've observed a lot of stuff with, watching Tiger Woods is standing as close as you are with me right now. And Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and Greg Norman, Nick Faldo, all these guys. And I absorbed all that information. A lot of it didn't make any sense until after I got sick. So in 2003, I collapsed at my sister's and was rushed to the hospital. I had surgery. I died twice during the surgery, and I had polyps removed from my colon, and they said they enrolled me in the oncology department, and my doctor came in one day and said, sorry, you're a goner, there's nothing we can do, so go home, get your affairs in order. And I'm like, what? And I got worse and worse, and I did my funeral arrangements, called in hospice, and started withering away to nothing. And then I had a massive stroke and ended up in a nursing home. I ended up 3 nursing homes. I got out of the, woke up in the third one in like January of 2004, and I was still terminal. I weighed like 110 pounds. I mean, I got all these marks and stuff on me from this. My watch slid up here one night when I was, before I had my stroke, I cut a hole all the way to the bone here. I almost bled to death that night. It was a horrible situation. And I was still terminal. So I'm like, well, I'm stuck here. I've got nothing better to do. I'm going to be happy no matter what. So I just started being happy. And I started looking at my blanket, and I looked at my shirt, and I go, how do they make this? How do they do that? And I spent all day trying to figure out, well, how would I, if I wanted to build this shirt, how would I do it? And I just took wonder in every little thing in my life, and I started feeling better. So all of a sudden I was hungry, started to eat. I said, maybe I can get out of this bed. I'm going to try to get up. I'd fall out of bed, get in a wheelchair. I'd fall out of there trying to get out and walk again. And eventually by June 11th, 2004, I walked out of that place. Hobbled, but I was back into my life. With no way of ever going back to practicing law or whatever, because I lost everything to medical bills and doctors and hospitals and nursing home care and all of that. Insurance ran out. And then I had to try to figure out what to do with my time. So I thought, maybe I can play golf again. But as you've seen, this arm, my right arm, just hangs like a sausage from my shoulder. And I really, unless I tell it what to do up in this area, it really doesn't do anything. I still have, I can move my fingers and whatever, but it's just the craziest thing from the brain damage I've had. And I lost that natural arm swing. And it turns out that natural arm swing turns out to be the most important part of the golf swing. And I was able to replicate that and start playing well. So when I got out of the nursing home and went into my little apartment, I figured out a way to chip balls and use John's little secret he showed me. So I chipped a little foam rubber ball all winter long up against the wall, and then when springtime came, I took my clubs out and I hobbled out there and dragged my little cart and hit the ball by 150 yards dead straight, and another 150 yards dead straight, and then meet 30-yard chip it up 2-3 feet from the pin, make the putt. Oh, there's a par. And I just hobbled around the course, and I was shooting in the 70s. And after a few months of that, people were realizing, hey, what are you doing? And one of the guys at the course that worked there at this place in where I was living, he says, how do you do that? I'll pay you to show me how to do that. So you don't have to pay me, I'll show you how to do it. And meet me after work at the 10th tee. And it's a little par 3, and he says, I said, what do you usually hit here? He says, 5-iron. And I showed him what I'm going to show you. I said, to do what I just showed you, but this time use a 7-iron. He said, where does that 5-iron usually go? He said, oh, way over there in 11th fairway, every time. I said, what's the best score you ever shot? He said, I never broke 100. So he hit that 7-iron, he hit it 25 yards over the green into the pond on the next hole behind that hole. And he stood there like he'd seen a ghost. Said, what the heck was that? I've never done that in my whole life. That's amazing. So I said, well, we'll give you a free mulligan on. I hit another one. I take one less club and hit it. He knocked it right on the green, 2-putted and went on. We went to back 9. He shot 7 over par on the back 9. We played the front 9. He shot 2 over par. He was 9 over. This is a guy who never broke 100 in his life. And I never give him another lesson. It's one lesson. Instant lesson. It's one thing. You just take all these other books and throw them away. You keep my book and this guy's basic book. This Ben Hogan's.
So he didn't edit out The Secret or anything?
Who? Hogan?
Didn't make any changes in the editions? It's all the same?
It's all the same. In fact, the pages are the same. They're just bigger.
I thought maybe there was something extra in this one that they edited out.
Nope. It's the exact same layout, just bigger. But this is the first book. And the most important page in the book is this one right here.
Shows the plane shift.
Page 88 of that book, Hogan's book. It's the same. This book, the original, that bottom picture tells everything, and it's the same thing in this book. This is page. It's got a page 88 in this one, and it's just a smaller version of that same page. It's the bottom picture. This page 88 and 89, where he moves the pane of glass.
He left clues.
He left clues, but he didn't tell, because he was still competitive when he wrote this book, and he was doing this in 1956, 57. So he was still competitive. And why would you want to tell your competitors what you do? So they can go out and beat you? No. You give them drop little crumbs. If they're smart enough to pick it up, good for them. But if not...
He talked in puzzles a little bit.
This book, well, a lot of this is Herbert Warren Wind, a wannabe novelist.
Right.
And Ben Hogan, who had an elementary education. So somewhere in between there, they dropped a lot of basic clues of what really works. And when you understand what he was trying to do at Impact, all the rest of this stuff just falls into place, and we'll show you how to do that.
Okay.
And what I'm talking about with that shoulder is this. This little clock right here. If you're standing down here at 6 o'clock.
Right.
At 6 o'clock, you're standing here.
Mm-hmm.
Your target's over at 9 o'clock. That's your swing path I marked right here from 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock. If this was a golf ball sitting on the ground like your watch face, that's where you want to hit the ball. And then at 4 o'clock, not 3 o'clock. Doesn't make sense, but I'll explain it to you when we get out and start hitting some balls.
Okay.
This equates to page 88 where you have to move the pane of glass.
Right.
And that's where you don't. We'll explain how that works when we start swinging some golf clubs here in a little bit.
Simple as a clock face, huh?